out for the remainder of the 2025 season, something we all think we knew was coming after what Stephanie White said earlier today. We couldn't be too sure until we see it for ourselves. And with this announcement from the GOAT's mouth herself, Caitlin Clark won't be returning this season, nor if the Indiana Fever make the playoffs.
All right, check this out. Caitlin Clark just hit pause on her 2025 season, and the internet is losing its mind, faster than ice cream melting on scorching pavement. With just one statement, she's thrown fans into chaos. Some are cheering, others are panicking, and plenty are spinning wild conspiracy theories, everything from sponsorship drama to even her zodiac sign. This isn't the kind of headline you casually scroll past. No way. This is the type of bombshell that grabs you by the shoulders and yells, "Wake up, this is huge." Because in one move, Clark just flipped the entire sports world upside down.
Not surprising at this point, but still incredibly disappointing. Caitlin Clark officially done for the 2025 WNBA season, as she and the Fever announced on social media. The Fever and Clark saying that she tried to get back on the floor. It appears that she just ran out of time, not able to get enough confidence back in her body as the season wraps up and the playoffs are likely about to begin for Indiana. I mean, it's a gut punch that basically encompasses an entire...
And now, we're staring down a brutal reality. The chance that Caitlin Clark's incredible basketball journey could come to a crashing halt before it even reaches its peak. This is the superstar who turned every arena into must-see TV, who drew casual fans into women's basketball like it was gravity pulling them in. Yet here she is, sidelined, with uncertainty hanging heavy over her future. And let's be real, the rumors are already swirling. Is this really the end? Could a single injury erase all the hype, the records, and those unforgettable highlights, leaving her legacy as nothing more than the most painful what-if of an entire generation?
Have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA. But the good news is her career is not over. But, it's a tough blow when it all comes crashing.
Listen, if you're like us and can't wait to see Caitlin Clark back on the court, drop a CC comeback in the comments right now. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Because let's be real, the sports world moves on faster than a TikTok trend. One moment, you're the face of basketball. The next, you're just another trivia question. Fans shift their focus in a heartbeat, already hyping up the 2026 rookie as the next superstar. We've seen it before, athletes who never fully bounced back from injuries, fading out no matter how many jerseys they sold or how many kids had their posters on the wall. At the end of the day, sports only cares about one thing, whether you can keep showing up.
All right, so now, I don't know who asked the question. The young lady, shout out to you. She said, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? Like that, I appreciate you at least. You didn't say it as blunt as I would have, but you said it. You asked the question. Hey, because now she's saying, yeah, the plan on this West Coast trip was to evaluate. How you gonna evaluate her if she never had contact? What's the evaluation? She's been able to shoot jump shots. She's been able to run up and down the court by herself with nobody touching her. What was there to evaluate? Now you're pushing it through the weekend, leading us on, having us dangling in the air.
Right now, Caitlin Clark isn't out there lacing up her sneakers and lighting up the hardwood. Instead, she's standing behind microphones, giving statements that feel more like PR band-aids than rallying cries. It doesn't sound like, "I'll be back stronger than ever." It feels more like, "Please don't forget my name while I disappear into this endless rehab grind." And you can sense it, the spotlight's starting to fade, the energy isn't the same, and honestly, everyone can feel it slipping.
Well, there you have it, folks. My hot take from earlier this year, all of a sudden, not so hot. Caitlin Clark announced that she's going to be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, a nice little post here thanking her teammates, saying she fought back, was in the gym trying to come back. She wanted to, but Caitlin Clark not returning for the rest of the season. It makes sense considering where the Fever are at in the playoffs right now. Right now, they are making the playoffs. They're the 8th seed, so it would be the final seed there. But are they going to make much noise? Chloe Bibby just went out for the rest of the season. She was one of the...
And of course, the trolls are loving every second of this, treating it like their own personal Super Bowl. The same people who couldn't have picked Caitlin Clark out of a lineup a year ago suddenly think they are orthopedic experts, diagnosing her entire career from their couches. They are swearing she'll never play again, already stamping her as finished before her second paycheck even clears. Brutal? Absolutely. But that's the internet. If you're not dominating, you are the content. But let's slow down for a second. Is this really the end of Clark's story? Or just another brutal chapter in the journey? Because in sports, the line between an epic comeback and a total collapse is razor thin. Some athletes heal like they are built with springs, bouncing back stronger than ever. Others get crushed under the weight of expectations and never return to form. And right now, nobody, absolutely nobody, knows where Clark will land. She could bounce back and rewrite the definition of greatness, or she could end up as that cautionary tale fans whisper about for years. The cruelest part? How fast it all flipped. Just months ago, she was dismantling defenses, piling up points like a human cheat code, and lighting up press conferences with the confidence of someone who looked like they had sold basketball itself.
Clark is out for the rest of the WNBA season. She had posted this whole statement on Instagram as well as the Fever officially announcing it just now here on this Thursday evening, and there have been some talks about from the Fever staff about her potentially trying to come back, and they had kind of been trying to drag this out as much as possible over the course of this season, but there simply seems to just not be enough time in this season for them to fully feel comfortable in getting her healthy. And the message that has been sent has always been the most important thing is her long-term health. That is what the Indiana Fever...
At this point, every update on Caitlin Clark feels less like sports news and more like a primetime drama. The burning questions never stop. Will she come back? Will she still dominate like before? Or has the magic already run out? Fans are glued to every detail, not replaying her highlights anymore, but dissecting medical reports like they are game film. Most of them are living in denial, clinging to the idea that she's destined for some miracle comeback, like she's a bionic reboot just waiting to happen. Timelines are flooded with motivational quotes, because honestly, that's a lot easier than facing the painful reality. Maybe her peak has already passed. Here's the harsh truth. Not every career ends with a farewell tour and a standing ovation. Some just stop. For every legendary comeback, there are countless athletes who slipped quietly into obscurity, remembered only as what could have been. And that's the real fear, Clark becoming a cautionary tale instead of a lasting icon. And the media? They are not making it any better. Think pieces are everywhere, asking if she was overrated, a product of hype, or proof that women's basketball can't sustain a true superstar like the men's game. It's lazy, it's reductive, and it's exhausting. But that's how the machine works. They build you up, they tear you down, and they cash in on every single headline along the way.
Lady finally had the balls to ask somebody, hey, are you guys going to make an announcement? You said you're having a meeting. You had your evaluation on the West Coast trip. Now you're going to have a meeting. Are you guys going to let the fans know what the hell is going on? Because y'all keep collecting ticket money. Y'all keep promoting that she's going to be at this arena and that arena. Y'all keep saying that she's day to day. First, we heard she might be back for the Minnesota Lynx the first time we played them a week ago. She wasn't even ready for that. A miraculous ankle injury popped up.
These days, you can't just be injured, you have to become a symbol of something much bigger. And that's exactly what's happening with Caitlin Clark. Her knee isn't just her knee anymore, it's become the centerpiece of a massive debate about the very future of the sport. And here's the harsh reality, she only got one season. One magical run. One highlight reel that went viral. 1 year of being the chosen one. If that's the entire resume, what are we really left with? Was it true greatness, or just a thrilling, short-lived fling with destiny? History isn't kind to short stories. Sports legends are usually sagas. So the questions keep coming. Will she ever return to her old form? Will this injury leave her a shadow of herself? Could the Caitlin Clark era actually end before it even truly began? And here's the cruel twist. If she never makes it back, her legend might actually grow. Because sometimes, the athletes who burn out early become larger than life. They aren't remembered just for what they did, but for what they could have been.
Here we are, the next morning, The next morning after it was announced that Caitlin Clark would not be returning this season, something that I think most of us pretty much knew for maybe at least the last couple of weeks. I heavily suspected it for the last, if I'm being real, last month. Although I kept kind of holding out hope because, well, I wanted a reason to keep watching these games. And that's why the Indiana Fever has gotten dogged at as
Caitlin Clark could go down as basketball's ultimate lost potential story, remembered not for what she achieved, but for everything she never got the chance to do. And in a strange way, that might even cement her legacy more than a decade of steady greatness ever could. Because let's be real, sports fans don't just celebrate champions, they obsess over the tragedies. And that's exactly where Clark stands right now. She's no longer the unstoppable force, but the game's biggest question mark. This injury could just be a D2 on her road back to dominance, or it could be the brutal period that ends her story far too soon. Nobody knows. What we do know is that the entire world can't look away. The speculation, the debates, the conspiracies, it's chaos, and people can't get enough of it. But hanging over all of it is the darkest possibility. What if she never comes back? That nightmare is echoing in every group chat, every debate, every single timeline. The thought that the player who revived women's basketball might end up as its most famous what if. It's a cruel irony. The sport's brightest star dangled in front of us, only to be snatched away before anyone could truly savor it.
And to the disappointment to a lot of people, she will not play for the rest of the season. Now, what does this mean for her? Rest. Big time rest. Get healthy. That's the number one thing. When you miss a full season, it's tough to come back and not be rusty. So I think a lot of the off season is going to be spent rehabbing her legs, getting stronger, and just working towards getting back to 2026 so that she can be healthy and take on the full season.
One day she's the headline, the next she's the cautionary tale coaches use as a warning about the dangers of overexposure. And let's be real, the media is absolutely eating this up. They love nothing more than building up a star just to tear them down. Caitlin Clark was their golden ticket, boosting ratings, selling jerseys by the truckload, and creating viral moment after viral moment. But now, the story has flipped into pure clickbait chaos. Suddenly, every talking head is asking the same question: is her career already over? Forget about rehab timelines. This isn't about recovery anymore. It's about drama, fear, and the idea of an empire collapsing before it ever had the chance to truly rise. Brutal? Yes. But fascinating? Absolutely. Because here's the truth about sports fans. They'll never admit it, but watching a superstar face potential collapse is its own twisted kind of entertainment. Could this injury actually end her career? On paper, yes, it's entirely possible. Plenty of athletes have been derailed before they ever really got going. Bodies aren't invincible, no matter how many hours you grind in the gym or how many shakes you down. Some injuries just don't heal the way you want them to. And if Clark's body fails her, then all that incredible hype ends up shoved into a dusty trophy case labeled unrealized potential.
A conversation and a agreement that would have happened between the Fever organization and I assume Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA. We don't want to mess these ratings up now. We don't want to mess those ratings up now, do we? Let's make it look like she's going to come back. So I knew there was going to be a lot of reaction today and last night, overnight. And Amber Cox, the CEO and general manager for the Fever, has released a statement on Twitter X. And it has gotten quite the response from Caitlin Clark.
Here's the hard truth. Caitlin Clark's margin for error is razor thin. She doesn't have a decade of dominance to fall back on. No shelf of championships, no wall of MVP trophies, no endless highlight reels spanning years. What she has is one spectacular season. 1 year where she looked unstoppable, untouchable, destined for greatness. But if she can't build on that, her entire career risks being reduced to a YouTube compilation titled Caitlin Clark's Best Plays Before the Injury, with a giant asterisk. And let's be honest, nobody wants to be remembered as a playlist instead of a legacy. This is where the debate gets fiery. Some argue that even if she never plays again, her impact is already iconic. But the reality? Her resume feels unfinished, like construction halted halfway, leaving the framework of something incredible but never completed. What makes it worse is how fast the sports machine keeps moving. While Clark fights through rehab, the league isn't slowing down. New stars will rise. New names will take over the spotlight. And by the time she's ready, if she's ready, that light may have already shifted. Because in sports, the clock never stops ticking. Not for anyone. Not even for its brightest star.
The WNBA ratings' worst nightmare just came true because it was just announced that Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season. She's only played 13 games this season, and her most recent injury, which happened back in July, was a groin injury. The craziest part about all of this has been the reporting around her injury. The team has never given her a timetable for return, and literally up until today, the team had been reporting that she was still trying to get back on the court this season. The Fever only have 3 regular season games left in the season before playoffs. Some fans were even speculating that they've just been stringing fans along the whole time because they know that ratings and attendance would.
And here's the cruelest twist of all. Caitlin Clark could heal, return to the court, and still end up forgotten. Because let's be real, the mental battle might be even harder than the physical one. Imagine going from dominating every single night to sitting helplessly on the sidelines while new faces steal your spotlight. That eats at you. It makes you question everything. Will I ever be the same? Do people still care? Was my peak already behind me? Those questions echo louder than any arena crowd when the lights go out. And then there's the pressure. The suffocating weight of being called the face of the league, the savior of the sport, the one who's supposed to carry it all into the future. Then suddenly, your knee, or whatever the injury may be, shatters that narrative, and you're left wondering if that future even includes you. That's not just rehab. That's a full-blown mental demolition. Yet, somehow, everyone still expects the perfect smile, the upbeat statements, the performance of positivity, as if your entire world isn't quietly collapsing. Because in sports, the show never stops, even when the game does.
For those that don't know, Caitlin Clark recently put out a statement basically saying that she is out for the remainder of the season. Sad news for the basketball world. Avid WNBA fans know that Caitlin Clark has been sidelined for weeks, actually months, due to her growing injury. Has been putting a lot of work in rehabbing, trying to get back onto the court. And some people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs because right now the Fever sit at the 8th spot. Not sure if they'll be able to keep the 8th spot and get into the playoffs, but a lot of people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs. I'm personally glad that the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark decided to just rest her for the rest of the season and just shut.
What's truly wild is how this single injury could completely rewrite Caitlin Clark's entire legacy. If she fights back, beats the odds, and takes over the league again, she won't just be a star, she'll be a legend. The comeback queen. The athlete who stared adversity in the face and refused to break. But if she doesn't? Then she instantly becomes the tragic cautionary tale, the once-in-a-generation phenomenon who had it all and lost it before she could truly cash in. And in a strange, almost haunting way, that story might echo even louder than if she had just gone on to have a long, steady, successful career. So let's be real, it's entirely possible this is the end. It's possible Caitlin Clark's career is already over before it ever truly began. That her one shining season is all we'll ever get. And if that's the case, it's a brutally harsh reality. But then again, that's the kind of cruel, unforgiving reality that sports has always specialized in. One moment you're untouchable, the next you're painfully breakable. That's the brutal beauty of sports. Nobody, not even the star herself, truly knows how their story will end. Which brings us to the million-dollar question, is this really the end of Caitlin Clark's incredible rise? Or is it just the most dramatic halftime pause we've seen in years? She's not just missing a few games, her entire future is hanging out there like a season finale cliffhanger. So, what version of Caitlin Clark will we see if she returns? Will it be the comeback queen rewriting her own legend, or the heartbreaking shadow of a career cut short? Either way, one thing's certain. The world won't stop watching. If you found this breakdown engaging, make sure to hit like and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories in sports.